G'day everybody, and for those who have come in late, you're listening to Expand the Phantom podcast.
He washed ashore the sole survivor of a shipwreck, and upon the skull of the man who killed his dad, he said, "I'm mad, I must eradicate piracy, injustice and cruelty, and all my sons will follow me, so evildoers will believe that this man cannot die."
The Phantom,
the ghost who walks,
the Phantom,
enemies beware, the Phantom's always there, but you won't find the Phantom.
Hello, we are the Chronicle Chamber team, and this is Expand the Phantom podcast. Our website is chroniclechamber.com, and you can email us at our email, which is chroniclechamber@gmail.com. You can subscribe to us via our YouTube channel, iTunes, all of the various Android apps. This is episode 188, where we get to chat with the new Frew and Egmont artist in Anthony Spay. So before we do that, my name is Jermayn, as you probably already know, and today I'm not joined by Dan or Stephen. I am joined by Mikael Lyck, the new Fantomen proofreader. How are you, Mikael?
Hello, yeah, I'm fine. It's in the middle of the night for me, but that's great.
Yes, it's going to be an interesting podcast. We've got 3 different continents, 3 different time zones. 6 o'clock in the morning for me, 6 o'clock in the evening for Anthony, and midnight for you, Mikael. You are a crazy person.
Oh.
So thanks for joining us, Mikael. So this will be fun. I know you're a huge fan of Anthony's work, so I know you're looking forward to this. I am as well. So there's no point in us talking about the person when we've got him right here. So let's introduce him, and then we'll get started on the podcast. So Anthony, hello, sir. How are you? Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be talking to you.
Awesome. So we'll get straight into it with all the questions and that. But first of all, if possible, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, about your age or your age range, if you don't want to give us exact age? And
I'm 42 years old.
Oh, there you go. You're still pretty young.
I'll be 43 in July. So
awesome.
So I've been at this for the better part of 20 years, maybe more like 12 years, trying to make a full-time living at it professionally in the comic book industry.
Awesome. So just tell us a little bit about you. Like, where did you study? Where are you from? Because I know US is a big place.
Yeah, I'm from right outside Philadelphia, so that's Northeast United States. I went to regular college. I was a business and an art double major at Gettysburg College, which is a place that's probably about 2.5 hours from where I grew up and where I basically live now. But to study comic books, I went to Savannah College of Art and Design for the graduate program. It's sequential art, which is comic books and storyboarding and things like that. And that's after I had been working out of college and working for a couple of years. I decided to go back to do that because I really wanted to do comics. So that's what I did. And I moved down to Georgia, which is in the south. Savannah is southeast, so it's like right above Florida coast. And so I was there for the program was about 2.5 years. I lived there for about 5 years because it was just such a great comics and art community. It was just inspiring to live there. And then I eventually moved back home to the area where I grew up. But that's where I am now, and been trying to pursue it up here ever since.
Awesome. So could you just tell us a bit about your art career even before you created before you started creating the Phantom stories, and what was your first big break, so to speak?
My first big break, I would say, was when I was hired as a freelancer by a company called Zenescope Entertainment. They're a pretty decent-sized comic book company here and local to where I lived, Philadelphia area. And so they hired me as a freelancer, and that eventually led to maybe a year, 2 years later, I forget exactly when, they brought me on as their art director / staff artist. So what that did was give me a good, 4 or 5 years there to be working in comics full time, learning the ins and outs of the business, but still having time to develop my skills as an artist. And that's where I got to do a lot of cover art there. I did some different comic books, and I edited books, and I brought in artists. I did all the different things there. So it really gave me a good handle on the requirements of what it takes to create a comic book as a whole,
Mm.
So I think that was my big break. And before that, I had done some things. I had done a Twilight Zone graphic novel. A lot of it was almost through my school. But as far as a professional comic book artist, once I got hired by Zenescope, then from there, that was kind of, I guess, my big break in comics, where I was finally able to do it professionally.
Awesome. So for those who don't know much about, who only just know the Phantom, what's the comic that Zenescope do, or the comics?
They do a lot of fairy tale based, like, fantasy comics. These days they've go everywhere, but Grimm Fairy Tales is their big one. They do Wonderland, Robin Hood, like female Robin Hood and female Van Helsing, which are two characters that I helped design that I think are really cool. And they've had licensed properties. They used to do Charmed and the Vikings. I don't know if you ever seen the show Vikings. That was a really cool show that I got to do some covers for that when I was working for them. So they do a bunch of different stuff. They do a lot of, like, sexy pinup covers and stuff too, So they have a pretty wide range of products these days.
Okay, cool. So if you are on YouTube and you're watching this, we will have some pictures and some images going up through the podcast. If you're on audio, you'll just have to use your imagination, and we'll try and do our best to explain it there. I'm just looking through some of the images now, and yes, there are a lot of sexy pinups and all that. Is that something that you enjoy, or?
I do enjoy it. It's not why I got into it. It's kind of what came my way, and it's something that it's not really my natural style. My natural style is more kind of the stuff I do for Phantom. So it's something I taught myself to do, and it's served me well, and I enjoy doing everything. It's just a more range of artwork that I can do. So I enjoy it.
Awesome. So have you done any other comic work besides Zenescope?
Yeah, I do. I've been doing a fair amount of work on Lady Death and, like, the Associated Coffin Comics properties. I've done interiors and covers for them. I did a couple stories for DC last year. I did a Black Adam story that's one of my favorite characters, so that was really cool to do. And the other one was about a side character named Slam Bradley, but I got to draw a really good shot of Batman in that, so that was pretty exciting. So that was my first work for DC. And I do a lot of the art for the card games for Marvel and through Upper Deck. I've got to do, like, a whole set of Deadpool. The game's called Legendary that I usually do, and they have, like, different sets of characters that you can add and build onto your deck of cards. But I do the box art for them and the card art for that, and that's something I enjoy doing as well.
Mikael, that's your wheelhouse. Have you know that game?
Yeah, I know. I know. I didn't know Anthony Spay did the work.
Yeah, I just actually,
Cool.
if you look at my Instagram, I think my most recent post was the box art I did for the upcoming Annihilation. I guess it's called an expansion pack. And so I did the box art for that one. So that was really cool to see, all colored, and the final product. It was really interesting.
Yeah, cool. You make sure to add a link to that, right?
Yeah. I will add a link to that. So I'm not sure if you know Anthony, but Mikael has just designed a Phantom card game. So
I've heard about it. I didn't know you were the designer on it, but I've seen a few things about it. So that's really cool.
Yeah. The game design, not the art design. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Did you? How did you do the art? Did you compile it from different things and from different areas?
I lifted it from the comic books.
Okay, then that's fine. That's great.
Cool.
Is it a Fantomen? Is it the blue, or is it the purple? Like
it's a little bit of both.
Oh, you got everything in there. That's cool.
Yeah,
I like that. I'll
Got
get my hands on it.
Got to keep us Australian whingers happy, so got to put some purple in there.
yeah, and Americans.
Yeah. I wonder who whinges more, the British, the Americans, or the Australians. Maybe that could be a poll for people. So awesome. So how what about the Phantom? So you said that obviously you've grown up in the States and all that. The Phantom isn't readily available there. I'm assuming you probably grew up on a staple of Marvel and DC.
Yeah, exactly. For me, the Phantom, I liked the strips when I was a kid, and especially the Defenders of the Earth TV show, which I really only cared about the Phantom in the show. Like, that was the character I liked. I just really liked the way he looked. I just thought he was a cool character, and I liked the purple color scheme. No offense to the blue scheme, I like that too. Now that I know of it, but it was originally from the cartoon. I had like the action figure and all that stuff, and I actually would like to get my hands on a copy of a fresh copy of that to put in my case. But and then I read the DC series back in probably early '90s or late '80s when that came out. That was one, and then I read a bunch of the Moonstone stuff.
Oh yes,
and that's probably those are probably the biggest Phantom influences for me. And I love the movie because I like the character, but those were like the ways I really got into it. I actually haven't ever seen the Marvel Phantom comics. I've never seen those in person. I'd like to get my hands on those. I have a bunch now that I've gotten older and I've bought a bunch of the old Carlton comics and things like that. Gold Key, I have some of those. So like if I see a good piece of Phantom memorabilia or a good comic, now I'm interested in buying it. And that I'm older, but as I was a kid, it was definitely the strips in the TV show.
Awesome. Now, from memory, you had a relationship with Eric J, or a working relationship with Eric J.
Yeah, I just remembered I enjoyed his work in the Phantom, and when I was working for Zenescope as art director, I saw his work come by my desk, and I wanted to bring him in to do stuff. So I ended up bringing him in to do some work for Zenescope, and I think he still does some. So it's
nice.
good. I know him a little bit. I've met him a few times. He's a great guy.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I just remember when we've started first talking, I remember Moonstone and Eric J. So
I read reading his comics, and it inspired me to do my own short story and submit to Moonstone, which they didn't hire me, but it ended up becoming a story later that I'm sure we'll talk about.
Yeah, that sounds very interesting. So we'll get into some of your Phantom stuff now. So for those who don't know, you've been doing work for Frew for the Phantom, but then you've also been doing work for Fantomen as well.
Correct.
You've got more Fantomen stories than you do the Phantom Frew stories.
I do.
Now, but you've also done a Frew trading card as well. Now, what came first? Was it the Frew trading card, or was it the Fantomen job?
I sent my work to all the Phantom related editorial people I could find at the same time, basically. So the first thing, though, was the card. The first thing that I did was the card, and that was part of my pitch. What I did was I sent that was my sample cover. So like, hey, I would like to do covers. I sent some of my other non-Phantom work, but I wanted to do a new piece, so I did a new Phantom cover, and that was it. And then I did like a short story, which was a redone version of my original story that I had sent to Moonstone way back in the day. It was with much better artwork. And so I wanted to have some interior pages and a cover of the Phantom to send to people. So that's what I sent both to Egmont and to Frew and to that company Lightning Strike. I don't know exactly what their situation is, if they're still around anymore, but I did it all at the same time. So, and but the card was the first thing, and they're like, we don't have a cover for you right now, but we'd like to use this as card. And I said, yeah, it's great. Use it for something. And then we brought in Sean Ellery, who's a fellow Australian, and he colored it, did a great job with that. So that was really cool. I do have a copy of the card that you sent me. So I think it's very cool to see. It came out real nice.
Yeah, no, it did. Sean Ellery actually comes from the same city as I do. I've actually haven't met him yet. But yeah, it's kind of ironic that it's good to see another Perth WA a boy.
Yeah, that's cool.
He also coloured one of your drawing for the Chronicle Chamber Bushfire book as well.
Yes, he did. He did that as well. Yeah, and I think you and he both emailed me on the same day about it. So I said, all right, well, I guess we'll just do this together, and that's worked out perfectly.
Yeah, no, it has. So what made you do the Phantom, the things that you did, and send them to Egmont, Frew, and Lightning Strikes? How did you get onto that idea?
I just wanted to do something that I wanted to do. I mean, I like what I'm doing, and I like working for all the companies I work for. But I had done a lot of the pin-up-y kind of stuff, and I said I would like to try to expand and take a shot on some dream projects. So I said, I was just something I felt like I was good enough to do it, but like usually when you apply somewhere blind online or whatever, like editors oftentimes don't give you a second look. Even they don't really look hard at your stuff. Even if you're good, they wouldn't know because they don't know you personally or whatever. But I just said, I'd like to draw the Phantom. I'm going to contact as many Phantom people as I can and see what happens. And if they don't like it, then whatever. I have some new samples anyway. And lucky for me, they both got back to me in a matter of days, and I've been working for them ever since. So that's cool.
Yeah, that's an amazing story, to be honest.
Yeah, I contacted through Facebook because I didn't have any emails for anyone there, and then I found Mikael Soul, who was I found out that he was the editor for Fantomen, and then I found his email address on some old blog site of his that was still, I didn't think it was current. I think it was probably from a few years prior, but it did have his I believe it had his Egmont email on it. So I used that, and it worked. So I was happy about that.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing story. So I guess it shows for all the budding artists out there that that doing the cold call or it can work. So
sometimes it worked, and honestly, it worked for me when I was an editor. I know that a lot of them aren't like that, and don't, and they bring in people they know. But I always try to be fair and bring in people based on merit, and so. I guess that's maybe why I thought it might be worth doing, because if somebody had done that to me and I had seen it, I would have probably given them a shot. So yeah.
That's awesome. So you said you did a short story. Was that the story that was put into the Fantomen Christmas album?
It was. It was. That was part of my pitch as well. I got both of my Phantom pitch materials used, which was great. But we added in 2 extra pages. Mikael wrote 2 extra pages and added those in. But 4 of them were, I believe, just my pages that I had sent in as my pitch, and it was a simple little story, but it had some cool images, and yeah, I'm really proud of that one. That was probably that was my first Phantom related story that I actually drew, but because of the timing of when I sent the samples in initially, I think they were already too far along on the 29, like I said, with the 2019 Christmas album, and they had to push it into the 2020. So that was done for quite a while before it actually got published.
Yeah. I think from memory, I think Mikael, you might be able to help me with this one. I think from memory, there's a picture of the Phantom on an elephant or something like that. Is that correct?
Yeah. And I mean, that's the first time we saw a new story for a Christmas album in the history of 80 years.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
that's really cool. I guess if a little short story comes your way, I guess he found it fit perfectly or something. So that's really cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, because they always have used like reprints in the Christmas album. So that was, I thought it was. I have a review.
Awesome. That's one I would like. I have most of the books now because they have me on a little subscription, so I get a copy of them. But that's what I haven't seen in person. I'd like to get my hands on a copy of that one. Maybe I'll just order one. Yeah.
We can probably fix that.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
We'll chat after the podcast and we'll get that sorted for you. So, okay. So what we might do is we've got some online scans of the stories. So again, if you're on YouTube, this will be good for you because you'll be able to see kind of like the stories, because a lot of these Fantomen stories will start off with Fantomen, haven't actually been published in English. So for a lot of viewers, this might be the first time you've got to see them. And then we'll just kind of go through them, ask some questions and stuff like that. Mikael, this is where I am going to need you to jump in a little bit more on that as well, because I've only seen these and I can't read Swedish. But what it will do is just bear with me. And so the first story we're going to look at is called New Hope, which this story will please a lot of the traditionalists because it sees Luaga returning as president. So this one was written by Mikael Sol, I believe. Is that correct, Anthony?
Yes, that's correct.
Alrighty, so you can probably see it here on this.
Oh, there it pops up on my screen.
So I'll just kind of go through it now. This logo, was that something that you designed?
No,
the cover.
Yeah, I believe that was Mikael's idea. Yeah, I think he had mentioned that it would be like the Obama poster in the script, so I believe that it was his idea to come up with that, and I'm sure he passed that on to the cover artist there. Yeah,
because from memory, it is. I'm just going to go to the end. Where are we? There it is. It's on Garan's shirt.
Yeah.
So you start off with the Phantom holidaying on Eden, and then water skiing. Was that in the script as well, or?
Yeah, it was. I was not familiar with was it his? Is that how you pronounce his name?
Yeah.
This guy, and I wasn't familiar with that character, but it was cool. I got a little chance to draw because I do like to draw like monsters and dinosaurs and stuff too. So that was just a fun little start to the script, you know.
So, Mikael, did you enjoy the story?
Yeah, I really did. And I mean, one thing is the thing that they connect the universes, but also like the villain, the ninja, is really cool, and the storyline has some twist. And yeah. About this villain, what's the what was the inspiration there? And there you also have the riding the elephant, go around riding and reading.
Yeah,
I think
like
that's
to throw
cool.
elephant in there. No, I liked drawing the villains in this issue. I thought that the characters were a chance to do some expressive, like almost like caricature faces for. I guess it's Roy Movick is the character and his mother, and then Miss Boa, who's like the assassin. That's like, you know, part Black Widow, part Snake Eyes, I guess.
Yeah, I did get a
He was
G.I.
cool
Joe.
too.
I did get a G.I. Joe vibe in it. Now,
That was requested as well. Yeah, that was. I
Yeah.
tried to come up with like an original. I wanted to give him a visor. Like Mikael wanted it a little bit like Snake Eyesy, so I decided I wanted to come up with like a visor, but it wasn't exactly the same, you know, but still looked really cool. And so I feel like that was a design that I enjoyed doing.
Yeah, no, it's sorry. The thing I liked about it is that you've got your different types of villains. Like you've got in this story, you've got your real strong type of, you know, assassin, but then you've got your despicable, almost white colonist type of villain as well. So you had those two contrasting villains, which I think really worked in the story.
Yeah, the dynamic between Roy and his mother was fun to draw. Just like the weird little, you know, mother-son strange relationship that they have. It was fun to like make that comedic, you know, because I like doing comedic stuff like that.
Now, so in this story, we see a lot of real strong phantom elements, like the Skull Cave, the Chronicle Chamber, which we're quite we always like scenes in the Chronicle Chamber because we get a bit of a kick out of it, of course. And then, you know, you've got Eden at the start, you've got Luaga and Miss Mist as well. So was there a lot of research in this story that you had to like get yourself immersed into the Phantom?
Yeah, I mean, I was familiar with it, but I had to make sure I got it right the way that the Swedish Fantomen book does. You know, I had, like Mikael, he gave me a Phantom Bible that he was working on. I guess it's constantly being updated or something. I don't know, but it had a lot of, you know, the locations, like good shots of the locations and side characters and everything like that. So for this story, especially since it was a current, like a modern day story, most of the research could be found in that Fantomen Bible. And so I like the good shots of the you know, the Chronicle Chamber and everything like that, like they were available to me, so I could find them. And there weren't like a lot of difficult to find old characters I had to look up or anything like that. So research wise, this is actually one of the easier stories that I've done, I think.
Yeah, I'm going to make mention of that when we get to the next story, because there's a lot of Chronicle stories featuring past Phantoms.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get back to this dude here, who's the son. He reminds me a lot of is it Max from the 2040 series, Mikael? With the
I'm not sure about the name, but the boy and his cats.
Yeah, with the cat and stuff like that. So I got a real kick out of him. And then there's a couple of real iconic scenes, like, you know, the Phantom coming through the window and stuff like that. And I must admit, one of the things that I kind of liked about this story was it wasn't really the Phantom that kind of saved the day. Like, he was there, but it was more like a Miss Mist, you know, saving the day and just running straight, you know, driving straight into the assassin in high heels, of course. So yeah, it was kind of cool. Did you, Mikael? Did you like Miss Mist as a character?
Yeah, but
Well, set apart, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Sarah Cartwright. Yeah. But but something I feel like I always see with your pictures is something that I don't see with many other Phantom artists, that you can really see the expression of the Phantom through the eyes of the mask.
That's something that I've kind of figured out along the way a little bit. You know, I feel like as I've gone on more and more, like I've been able to use the mask as like it's almost better than eyes in some instances. Like it can be more expressive depending on how you use it. So yeah, I figured out that's a good way to have some good expressions for the Phantom. You know.
Yeah, I totally agree, and that we haven't seen that earlier is a bit surprising.
I didn't realize that. I'll have to keep an eye out. Now I'm definitely going to keep doing it.
Yeah. Good.
So that was your first story, and then your second one. Or is there anything else you wanted to talk about the first story, Mikael?
Oh, I think we've covered it.
Is there anything that we've kind of missed that you wish we kind of raised or anything, Anthony?
No, I don't think so. No, we covered it pretty thoroughly for that issue.
Then we have this. It hasn't been translated, but I guess it will be Stolen Rings story.
Yes.
Right.
So that's the pirate one, the Jean Lafitte one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the half a story. The partial story.
Which so hang on, sorry. Mikael, we're talking about 22 and 23 of 2020?
2020 issue 24.
Okay, what about the did you want to go through that one, or do you want to go through the Jean Lafitte story? Isn't that the next one?
Oh yeah. I didn't open that one.
Okay,
sorry.
All right. No, that's okay.
Hey, you can start. You can start, Jermayn. I'm gonna open it.
Okay, cool. So we've got this story. This is the next one that you did, which features that will be the 12th or the 13th Phantom, I believe it is.
Yeah, 13th, I think.
Who wrote this story? Just trying to remember. Claes Remuthi.
Claes, yeah.
So again, you've got very strong Phantom elements. Is this the first time you've also drawn Diana?
Yes. Yeah. And she's only in this for a couple pages, but yeah.
Yeah, and so for instance, you've got the missing vault. It's one of my favorite Phantom elements. The missing vault. Now, did you with those little symbols on the vaults, were they specifically or?
No, I made them up, except for the swords. The swords were in the script, and then other, similar type symbols. Maybe the crown might have been mentioned, but I don't remember if that was in there or if that's just something I made up myself. But it was really just the swords, but just other related symbols.
Yeah, I asked because the crown, there's actually been another story about this vault which featured the French 16th century French crown prince or something like that, right near the Revolution. So
yeah, I am not 100%. That may have been mentioned in the script. I can't quite remember.
Yeah, now I really like this page. Like, it's such iconic. You got the Skull Cave, you've got the vault, the missing men, and all that. So it's a great page. Do you remember this story now, Mikael?
Yes. Yeah, the pirate story.
Yeah. And then you've got another...
because the old Phantom is married to Joan Lafitte's sister, right? And then
Yeah.
He died, and now someone is using his name to dragging it to the dirt to make profit, basically. And they
Oh.
change it. Yeah, it's a lot of story in the story.
Okay. So that's an interesting point. How, because you've obviously, and the American style of comics is different to the European style of comics. How did you find going with that?
Well, the biggest difference is definitely the number of panels per page and panels in the book. It's definitely more of a serial storytelling kind of thing rather than just one big impact panel and then like other stuff. Lucky for me, like I enjoy the European comics. I enjoy some of the old school comics. Like George Perez is one of my favorite artists of all time, and when he likes to do tons of panels per page, so that's a lot of what I grew up reading. So that's a lot of where my sensibilities come in. So it wasn't really a hard transition for me, but it does take a little longer, and you have to come up with ways to make each panel have an impact at such a small size sometimes, and if you see these pages, I try to have one focal panel per page, then go out from there. It's kind of how I do it. I want to squeeze as much of a impact into small panels as I possibly can. So that is a difference, but I do enjoy it as well. So
yeah, I've just noticed, especially in this story as well, a lot of your panels are kind of overlapping as well. So you've got you've got this guy here who's you got his head over in this panel, and you got the guy's arm, which kind of gives it that different feel as well.
Yeah, when done right, I think it adds a little punch to the pages, to the design of the pages. For the Frew books, I tend to go a little more just all over the place with my page layouts, more like I would do for an American comic. For these books, from what I can understand, and I believe what I talked about with Mikael Soul at the beginning, is that a lot of the Egmont books, to correct me if I'm wrong, tend to stick to more of the grid than more than wild panel layouts. And so I try to, I put my own spin on it and have some overlapping and a panel at the bottom here with the ship where it's set back or something like that. But I didn't go too crazy with the panel layouts for these books.
That's interesting.
Sorry, image you have up there, that's really, that's almost photorealistic.
The coloring on that, really made it came out. The sky there made it come out really realistic. Yeah.
Did you do the coloring, or was that the?
I did not. I am not familiar with the colorist. They usually it was a Repro Stugan. Is that how they pronounce it? It looks like I don't know if it's a person or a company or who it is, but they do a nice job.
Yeah, it's a company in Sweden. Okay. There's a lot of very detailed boats in this one. Are you a buff with old naval ships?
Not really. I've looked around and I did a lot of research for it, and I do like drawing little stuff like that. So it was enjoyable to draw. And I'm not an expert on them by any means, but for this book, I did a lot of research. So I had Bolivar, where I tried to make him historically accurate. So I tried to make these things as accurate as I can, whether it's the ships or the people or the horse and buggies that they use.
So is that one of the more challenging things with the Phantom? Is that one day you're drawing ninjas assassinating people, and then the next day you're drawing, 17th century ships and clothes and weapons and stuff?
It's challenging as far as the amount of time it takes, but it's also enjoyable to do, and that's what makes the Phantom cool. Is that you can do stories from basically any time period, and there's a Phantom, and you can do it. So it's it's definitely a little more tedious than others comic books might be, but at the same time, you don't always have a chance to draw pirate ships or whatever you want to do, and not only are they interesting to draw, they give you experience for the next time you have to do them. So I enjoy doing it. It does take a bit longer sometimes, but in the end, the story's cool and the experience is good. So I enjoy it.
Now, I'll probably your Phantom style is probably a little bit beefier than probably some other Phantoms. Do you have like a certain style of how you picture the Phantom, or?
I consider the Phantom, a superhero, and I put him how I would draw a Superman or a Batman. I maybe he is a little bulkier than some other artists' renditions of the Phantom, but I like to make him a little larger than life. I think he looks cool like that, and I mean, functionally, if you were the Phantom, you may want to be a little thinner and quicker if you don't have powers, But as far as in a comic book setting, make it look like a comic book character, So that's what I did.
Yeah. So I'm assuming in this story that we've just looked at as well, you would have got reference material for for the Phantom's wife and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, this one I got a bunch of references, and I also looked up a bunch on my own and found old Phantom issues online from was it Indrajal, like the Indian comics. They had a good shot of Lafitte. That's where I got his outfit from, and found his his sister's outfit that she wears in this book. I tried to keep it consistent to her previous appearance, and I think I found that one myself because there was a book cited in there, but it wasn't in the references, so I found it on my own. But yeah, I like doing stuff like that. So, but there were definitely a lot of references to look up for this one. I got a bunch given to me, and I found a bunch on my own.
Yeah, well, I guess that shows the dedication and of yourself to be able to.
Well, the thing that I've learned that I didn't know about the Phantom when I first applied for these things is how intertwined the different stories are from different countries, and then with the strips, and then I knew that obviously King features as probably the final say on everything, but the amount of history and the way people pay attention to the consistency throughout history, I thought that was important to keep going because it's not easy maybe sometimes, but that's what makes it fun in the end, so to follow a fun character to follow. So yeah, I definitely wanted to do that and try to keep it as consistent as I possibly could.
Yeah, because you have fan groups like Chronicle Chamber and stuff like that nitpick and pick up stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, she had a blue dress last year.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you'll never catch me making a mistake, but I'll do my best to keep things consistent from 1945 to today.
Yeah, and I mean, I think us really hardcore fans really appreciate it when you see something and it's like, well, this fits, because we can get a bit irritated when it doesn't fit. But Lee Falk did that, said different things on different places.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, Lee Falk was quite known for his inconsistencies.
Yeah.
And then people like Elf Granberg, who was the editor before Mikael Soul, would fix it, and then Lee Falk will create a story which throws that into even more contradiction and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
That's interesting.
yeah. And then the other story you did was it was only half a story.
The Stolen
Yeah.
Ring.
I did the second, like the final 8 or 9 pages of the book, right?
Yeah. Just
Daniel Miller started and then you got to finish it.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
do you know the reason behind that, or?
I don't know exactly the reason. I know that there were some delays in completing the book. To me, it wasn't that strange because when I was an editor, I had to have people split books fairly often. So, yeah, things come up, personal situations. I don't really know what held up the original artists from completing. I don't even know if Daniel Mueller was the original artist. I'm not sure, but it happens. But I feel like the book still came out nicely, and I actually feel like they were some of my best pages that I've done so far for Phantom.
Oh wow!
Like this page I like here in particular.
Is that because one of the things that I love about the Phantom is that he scares the bad guys and he's in the shadows and all that.
Yeah, I'm a technical kind of artist, and I don't know. I feel like when I draw a good wall or a good expression or a good, just a good Phantom, I'm like, yeah, it's a good page. And I feel like I did a good job of that on this page. So I don't know why, I just enjoyed it.
Awesome. Did you have to change your style to kind of match David Miller's style a little bit, or?
I asked, and they said no. Mikael said no. I was like, do you want me to try to match this guy style? And he said, no, it's fine. Do it your way. So I tried to keep the costumes consistent within my own style, and everything like that. But no, I did it my way.
Yeah, it sounds on the editorial page from Mikael Soll that the original thought was that Cesar Spadari would do this as his last one, but he died. So again, it was quite a panic job, and then he to get it done in time.
Yeah, so like they threw a monkey wrench into the plans, I guess, that had to be completed by somebody else. I understand that. It makes sense.
Yeah.
So, Mikael, as someone who read this, what did you think about the story? Was it jarring having the two different artists? Did you hardly notice it, or like how did you feel as a reader?
As a reader, I noticed it. I noticed it very much, but I liked the story because it takes an old concept of Phantom losing his ring, but I think it was a cool thing that it's got instead of one guy getting the rings, there's two guys getting one ring each, and they do different things, but in the end, I liked the story, and I mean, it's too bad that the art is split up between two artists, but I mean, as you said, sometimes that's what has to be done, and I like the Spay. Your parts is really, really nice.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So what number Phantom is it? Is it the 21st Phantom?
No, it is not. I mean, it's
17th, maybe something like that.
1863. No, wait, it's a bit later. 1866 something.
Okay, cool.
So,
Yeah, I don't remember either. I know I got it right at the time, though.
yeah. But I mean, there's no. Yeah.
And then this is a real jungle trope here, where like they have to, as punishment for their crimes, they have to do jungle hard labor and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like a classic story with a twist. That's always good.
And then the last Fantomen story that I want to talk about is Fantomen number 9, 2021, which has just come out.
Yeah.
And this is the one that you recently reviewed, Mikael.
Yeah, I think I have reviewed everyone we have gone through. But yeah, this is just a week ago. The Star of Raqqa.
In episode 187, that's just come out as well. So at the time of recording that, I really like this cover. This cover's kind of cool. How it's got that perspective.
I like the cover too. Luca Arbeto is a good artist. Yeah, I've seen his stuff before prior to Fantomen, and I enjoy his work.
So we're doing another past Phantom. And so you've done one story with a current Phantom, and every other one's been a past Phantom, including for Frew.
Correct.
Do you prefer doing the past Phantoms, or?
I don't know that I really have a preference. I think I definitely have enjoyed doing the past Phantoms, but I wouldn't mind doing some more current stuff as well. I think I'd have fun doing either, you know. I'd like to I haven't really done too much of any of the well-known side characters or anything like that, so I'd like to take a shot at them. But I'll admit I do like doing the past stuff as well, so really I don't have a preference. I gotta be honest.
Yeah, that's a good answer for all the editors out there. So Mikael, you've read this story and studied this story for our review. What were your thoughts of it?
Yeah, it's a new writer also with this story, and I mean, the story is it's good, but it's not one of the best, but it's not bad. I mean, it's a good story, but there's no pirates and no these classic things, and the art is great, of course. I really enjoy if you go to page 15, when we were talking about a bit when it's a bit more funny thing, and it goes out there from the mummy thing. You can scroll, Jermayn.
15. Which one's that one? Is this one?
That one in the bottom of that page. Yeah, there. I think I love that image when it goes out there from the
falls out of the casket or whatever. Falls out of the that's good.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Now I noticed. I'm just going back to this one. You had to draw a cricket scene. Did you ever know about cricket, Anthony?
I mean, I knew of it, and I've seen it on TV here and there, and maybe we played it in gym class once or twice when I was a little kid or something. But I did have to do a little research. Did I do it justice?
Yeah, the bat's a little bit wrong.
Oh yeah. I tried.
But apart from that, it's not bad. I remember there was another Fantomen artist, Cesar Spadera, that drew the Phantom, and he had all the fielding like all wrong, and they were all wearing pads, and it looked a bit like baseball and stuff like that. So it's you definitely.
I definitely fudged that the one where he hits the ball and it says crack. I definitely made that a little bit more of a baseball swing, just because the baseball swing looks better as far as more impactful motion than like the standard cricket swing.
Yeah.
So I definitely made that one more of a baseball swing, and the next panel too. I definitely did kind of do more baseball with that, but it was by necessity.
Yeah, no, but we call it a six when he hits it up in the air and it goes over the field, like similar as a home run.
Yeah.
So yeah, he would have definitely. If there was some scouts back then, he would have been snapped up and probably playing for Zimbabwe or South Africa, who both had cricket teams. So yeah, no, I was just like I was reading it and it reminded me of the other artist who got it horribly wrong. So yeah, I think that's the only other time cricket's actually been mentioned in a Fantomen story. So
Interesting.
Yeah, for a British colony to only have cricket mentioned twice, it's kind of interesting.
So does that mean that cricket is a big sport in Bengala now? Bengala?
Well, you would think it would be bigger than what it is. Like I know we've seen soccer, we've seen American football, now cricket. So I would have thought that probably soccer and cricket would be probably the two national sports of Bengala.
Bengala is the melting pot for all sports. They all exist there.
Yeah. Do they play American football in Bengala, not when he's in the States?
No, in one story. I think it was General Babubu's Great Hoax in Frew issue 1002, I think, from memory. They play a American gridiron game, and there's a bomb planted at the stadium or something like that. So, yeah. But I think cricket was probably a little bit more believable. Did you have to research the animals and stuff like that with these type of panels?
Yeah, the one, if you go to the top of the page, the one in the panel in the middle, that looks like a horse zebra-ish animal. I forget what it was called, but I definitely had to look that one up because I wasn't familiar with that type of animal. I don't have the script open on me, but it's some kind of exotic zebra relative kind of animal. And so I definitely had to look him up. And poisonous frogs, I mean, yeah, I always look up reference for animals because like I want them to be accurate, And the snake's actually harder than you think to draw, even though it's just a straight line. You have to keep all the lines consistent and everything like that. So they're a little tricky to draw the animals.
A little slippery, would you say?
Yeah, a little bit.
Sorry, I couldn't resist that one. Cool. Anything else you wanted to raise, or Anthony or Mikael, about this story?
No, I thought it was a cool story because I thought it was an interesting story, but it didn't have much Phantom in it. So he was kind of not the focus of the story. So, but I thought it was because I read the script and I was interested in it without seeing too much Phantom, which I thought was good.
I mean, the setting is really cool. The setting with the temple and that's great, and I mean the bad guys is great. But as you say, there's not much Phantom.
Yeah, the temple was a little bit tough to draw too, to keep that consistent. But I feel like I did a decent job of that, hopefully.
No, I guess what I like, and I think you've made mention this in your review, Mikael, is it's got all the classic elements. Like it's got the temple, it's got the Tomb Raider feel, it's got the big, the big bad guy, it's got the femme fatale in a sense, who kind of surprises you. You got the Phantom kind of being injured and stuff like that as well. So yeah. Cool. So you wrote the Fantomen Christmas story, which we've talked about, which was your first one, which was part of your submission. A question I forgot to ask you when we were talking about that was, do you think you've got more type of stories in you? Like, would you ever write another story? Or
Absolutely, I'd love to write a Phantom story. I wrote a couple stories when I was art director at Zenoscope. I wrote a couple Zenoscope stories. I wrote this Phantom story with Miguel Sol, but I would definitely like to do more. Now that I've kind of gotten my feet wet in the Phantom universe, maybe it's something I consider. I don't know how everything works behind the scenes. Like I don't know if does King Features want you to do new characters, or do they prefer people to bring back previously released characters? There's almost like logistical things that I feel like I should learn before I start pitching stories. So I would definitely like to do it though, and I have stories in me. I'm capable of writing some good Phantom stories, I think. So that's something I'm definitely in the future would be looking forward to do.
awesome. So we'll just go through now. For those who are Frew only readers, you did the Vultures stories, part 1, part 2, and part 3. Now, how was it like having 3 stories? It was a multi-part story, but like, how long did that take you to draw?
It took me a pretty long time because I had other work going on. That was at the same time I was working for DC and doing some different things. So, I mean, it probably took me the better part of a year to finish the 3 stories, and it took a lot. But I don't know. The scheduling is so much different with both Frew and Egmont from what I'm used to. That like I had to adjust. It's great to have all that time to do comics, but sometimes it's almost harder to schedule because you don't know what's going to pop up during the course of the project. If you have a really long deadline on a project, or if it's something that you're expected to do on the side over the course of a few months, you might be able to get it done quick. You might have something that's too good to pass up, and then it's a little bit different from what I was used to. But I enjoyed doing the series of stories. Just took a little while, but I was happy with how they came out in the end. And the first 2 were the first. I believe they were like the first Frew story I did before the first Egmont story, and then after that it was kind of back and forth. So
okay.
I was definitely doing 2 at once for a little while.
Oh wow! Was that difficult? Like going backwards and forwards, or is that how you? Is that just
a little bit? A little. At first, I wanted to go in a different direction with the Frew stories because of the way that how you pronounce Pide? How you pronounce his first name?
Pida.
Pida. All right. All right. So how he wrote the story was a little more comedic, and so I wanted to go a little more comedic with my art style. But over the course of doing both books, I kind of migrated back to my natural style, which is more of the style I did for the Swedish books, and I felt it was a little better anyway. So that's kind of how that went.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, Was it difficult going from, because obviously Fantomen is in color, where Frew is primarily uh, printed in black and white. Was it hard having did you have to do a different style? Was it hard or?
Yeah, I did have to adjust to doing black and white. I mean, I prior to that, I mostly was a penciler, for colored comics, and I didn't do that much black and white work. Now, over the course of the last couple of years, I've done a lot more inking and a lot more things than working with black and white. So I've gotten back to being a little more comfortable with that again. So just recognizing the right places to use blacks and different things like that, like for black and white, is something that at one point, like when I was at school, I might have known it, but like after years of not really having to do it, took me a while to get back into it a little bit. So hopefully, going forward, I'll definitely be more comfortable working in black and white.
Yeah, I noticed, and I'm not an artist, but I noticed especially in the third Vulture's story, which I've noticed that you look like you used a lot blacks. Hang on, I'm just if you're on. So like you used blacks in like the shadow work and
Yeah.
And there was in this double page here, in like the background. Now this isn't the best scan, so I apologize for that. But I've noticed that you used blacks a lot more, I guess, than what you did in the first couple of stories.
And some of that has to do with the setting.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I did make a concerted effort to go a little heavier on the blacks, just to make it a little more dynamic for black and white, if the opportunity presented itself in the story.
Yeah, like on this panel as well. So like I've noticed, like the trees are blacker.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just, it was just something that I noticed, that you seem to, I don't know whether you made more of a conscious effort or you were more used to it or not. But yeah, I guess you can't really ink like that when it's been colored, can you?
No. Well, you can, I guess. I mean, I still don't use that heavy of blacks. And there's definitely comic artists that work for color that use a lot of blacks. But honestly, the color technology is so good today. Like, I do more hatching and stuff than a lot of people, but you don't want to obscure the color so much because they can make it look so good sometimes. So.
Yeah, there's a Phantom artist, Kerry LePan. He's been doing it for what, 40, 50 years or something. I joke that he gets paid by the amount of ink, the inkwells that he uses, because his stories are just like, it's almost like he uses black paper and then he uses art line to.
Yeah, that's great. A lot of people have that sensibility, and that's just the way that their mind for the artwork works, I guess.
So obviously, Peter's he's a Swedish creator. Was there much difference in the way, like he wrote even for a Frew comic, because he is used to writing for European comics?
I don't believe so. His script was very detailed, and but I thought it was pretty easy to follow, and I mean, everything he did was what made sense, and panel wise, and like he knew what he was doing, and he also is a human Phantom encyclopedia, so he knows everything about the Phantom, and he had references ready to send to me before I even started, so he was very helpful. And there's a lot in all of these books. When you get into the 7, 8, 9 panel pages, there's a lot that has to be squeezed in there. But that's not unique to him or anybody else. It's just the nature of the way that the books are structured, So I enjoyed working with him. I thought the scripts were good.
Yeah, so you've done stories for Claes Ramufi, Mikael Sol, and also Peter Anderson. Was there one that was like better at their script writing or their references than the other or anything?
I think Peter's the best at the references and the pre-existing knowledge and of the characters and getting that ready for me. But they were all great. I mean, I enjoyed working on Mikael Sol's book, and because it was probably the most American style comic sensibilities, and he gave me a couple of spots to couple with not so many panels on the page, so you get to let the artwork breathe a little bit and show some large panels, like maybe where that car crash is, where she crashes the car, and you don't want that to be a small panel, or Luaga standing at the podium, like that's an important panel. You don't want to throw too many panels on that page to make that, because that's an impactful, important thing, But I like all the scripts have been great. I enjoyed the, Klaus and Daniel Carlson's. They're the historical scripts. I thought they were good. And, I don't know what everyone's who's written the stories native languages are. I've actually been to Sweden, and I know that as a general rule, people speak really good English there. So I haven't had any issues interpreting scripts from anybody who's written them, and so I've enjoyed it all.
Okay, so you've been to Sweden. I'm assuming that was probably before your Fantomen.
Yeah, my sister, while she was in college, did an exchange program in Stockholm, and so my whole family went over there for, I forget how long it was, week and a half, couple of weeks, something like that, and so I spent some time in Sweden, and we went to Denmark for a couple of days at the end, but I thought it was a nice place. I enjoyed it. I'd like to go back to sign some Fantomen comics someday.
Yeah.
I don't know what the comic book store or like what the retail scene is like there. If they do, if they're that popular, do you do a lot of signings or anything like that, or not really too much?
Not that much, but I mean, we have the Comic-Con Stockholm, or we will get it again after COVID, but it's not many stores that do it, actually.
No.
There's maybe one in Stockholm.
Well, I'd check that out. That'd be awesome. I did one time I did a convention, and one of the ones in London. That's the only time I've ever done an international convention so far, but hopefully once COVID and everything goes away in the future, I'll be able to, see how it goes, try a couple out.
Yeah, well, we have one in Australia. We have the Phantom Dinner as well, and I know Sweden do something very similar as well. So, yeah,
awesome.
Australia and Sweden are very similar in their love for the Phantom and stuff like that.
That's what I understand. I wish we had that here.
We don't always see eye to eye with our licorice. The Swedish like their licorice a little bit stronger than a lot of Australians. But yeah, myself and Mikael, we swap food and stuff like that. So
that's cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Salt licorice. Candy should be salt, right?
Yeah.
That's funny.
One of the things I wanted just to raise, there's this panel here in the first, your first Frew part here of the bird's eye view of the Phantom climbing the castle. I really love that panel. It's such an amazing panel with like the rain coming down, and you can kind of like see the rain falling around the camera angle and stuff like that. I remember when I first got this comic, it was, I'd seen your stories before and your art and stuff like that, but just that panel was just like, wow. I really
I was looking up Spider-Man for that one. Looking up Spider-Man references because he does a lot of the crawling. The hardest thing on that panel was to do the cape, but make it look like it was going down his back like that. It was a little difficult, but thanks. I appreciate it. I like that panel too. That's one of my favorites. This scene where I get to do the outside of the castle and he's climbing up the building. I thought that came out nicely in general.
Yeah. No, it's I could, and just for those who are wondering when we're talking about the reference and all, like, for instance, a lot of the Phantoms have got dark hair, but the fourth Phantom has been shown with blonde hair. And, like, you just getting things like that correct, which is obviously a testament to yourself, but also to Pitter, who gave the references and all that. It's good to see.
Yeah, he made sure to point that out. I believe that also I forget which hand, but this Phantom only had a ring on one hand. Was his other. I remember him telling me that. So
yeah. So I don't think the good mark ring was given to the Phantom. I can't remember what Phantom was actually given it, but that's a very good point.
My favorite my favorite part of that story is when he orders at the inn with drinks, and you see the tavern host. I need a drink.
That was which page? So I'll just bring that page up. That was this section here, I believe.
Yeah, in the middle of the page there.
Yeah, the nice big glasses as well.
Yeah, he gets so confused.
Yeah, awesome. So you've now drawn 8 Phantom stories, or 7, 8, 9 Phantom stories. What would you say is your style? I guess you've very quickly in 2-3 years you've managed to draw a lot of Phantom stories. Do you see yourself have like a distinct Phantom style or something like that?
Well, I definitely think I've gotten more comfortable with drawing the character and settled into how I want to do it going forward. Like, I think it's pretty consistent now. Like the way I do his face or whatever. Like you had mentioned earlier with the mask, I considered that part of my style to use that because Phantom is an interesting character because he's easy to. You could do real dark with like a Batman, or you could do like a silly almost, and it works just as well. And it doesn't always work as well with other characters, but like because of like the design of the costume and the mask and everything like that, you can do the whole range with the characters. So it'd be good to experiment with that. But I think my style is, like classic comic book style, but like timeless comic book style, but like a modern version. So like it might not be the most trendy style around, but it'll never, be passe either. That's what I'm going for, at least. Just like whatever the classic comic book style is, like adapted for the modern day is kind of what I consider my style.
So, Mikael, from a Swedish perspective, and it's been really great to have you on for this one. What's been the reaction from Sweden? Is there a lot of people that are enjoying the art?
I must say it's divided. I mean, there's a lot of people like me that really enjoys it, but there's also quite a few on Facebook that just says it's too different from what they are used to, basically. Yeah,
interesting.
I've seen that, but I see that with almost every time there comes a new artist that doesn't do exactly as Cyberry does it.
Yeah,
it's the same with.
I kind of know that's exactly why Mikael Saul hired me, because my stuff was a little different from maybe more the old school kind of comic style. But the thing is, there aren't that many new people doing that style anymore, at least not here. I don't know if the Swedish comic book artist scene is like, really. I know there are some, but the old school comic book style like that, like I think mine's a little bit classic style, but like the real that kind of the style that a lot of the Fantomen stories have. I don't know how many new artists are really doing that anymore.
Yeah.
So it might be the availability might not even be there, to be honest with you,
It's a valid point. So do you have any other Phantom stories in the pipeline that you're working on at the moment?
I am doing one for Egmont right now. Will be out later this year. I don't have any concrete plans with Frew yet, but I've spoken to them and to Pitta about doing more. So hopefully that works out as well. So I plan on doing Phantom, being around the Phantom scene for a while yet.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, well, you've got two fans here.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I've really been enjoying your take on the Phantom. There's not many artists that have drawn stories for both Frew and Fantomen. So who can you remember, Mikael, that's done stories for both? I know Joan Boix has done stories for both. Can't remember of anyone else at the top of my head, so there wouldn't be more than 3 or 4 other artists.
I'm wondering if, in this Phantom world, you had this Felmang story that was made for it.
Oh, yeah, Felmang. Yeah, Felmang.
Does Jeff Wiegel do both, or?
No, his Australian story was published in Sweden.
Okay.
I'm talking about commissioned stories.
No, yeah, I know what you meant. I didn't know if he. I saw. I didn't realize it was a reprint of the Australian one over there.
So it's a good point mentioning Jeff Wiegel. I see a lot of. He uses a lot of facial expressions in his Phantom as well. So yeah, it's interesting that you just made mention of him. Do you keep in touch with any other like Phantom creators or anything like that?
I don't really know any of them. I met Jeff in Chicago a few years ago, right when I was like literally 2 weeks after I got hired, before I'd even start working on anything to do with Phantom thing. And he was in the same row as me at show, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to be doing Phantom too, because he was selling Phantom stuff and he had his Phantom setup and everything, and I talked to him for a little bit, so it was nice to meet him, but I don't really know him particularly well. And Pitt and I talk online sometimes, but beyond that, I haven't. And actually, I've spoken to Alex Saviuk a couple times about the Phantom, so he knows that I do the Phantom, and he enjoys my work, and I enjoy his work, and so I've spoken to him when I see him at a show or something like that. He's come around to my table and vice versa. So if I see him, I talk to him about Phantom a little bit, but beyond that, like I don't really know many. So hopefully, sometime down the line, I get to meet some of them.
Yeah, awesome. Well, when you come to Australia and Sweden,
I'll do it.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. So, Mikael, you got any other questions, buddy?
Yeah. When you do your art, do you do it like on paper and then scan it in, or is it all digital?
I do my interiors digitally. I don't have to. I do a lot of my pencils, like my interior pencils. If I'm not inking, I'll do those on paper. But for inking, the inking of interiors, which is what is required for the Phantom books, I'm more comfortable doing those online, or not online, on the computer,
Yeah.
But for covers, I do those by hand. I'll still do my layout on the computer and print it out or whatever, and I have a light box. I'll do it on my desk. So the covers I have original art for. I think I was planning. I'm gonna probably at some point give it a shot to doing the inking of a book of interiors, manually inking them. But the Frew books were really the first. The first Frew book was really the first interior book that I had inked in years, so I was like, I better do this online because I need to be able to erase it easily if I mess up while I get comfortable. So, and I've gotten a lot more comfortable with that. I think my actual inking on the books has gotten pretty good from where I started on the first thing I did. So, it's allowed me to grow my skill set. But still so far I'm doing my covers manually and interiors digitally. But you can't tell that big of a difference usually, can you?
No.
I feel like I do a good job of making my digital inks look natural. So
yeah. I guess Mikael and myself, we both collect original art, so we were that was probably a question that was regarding
I know that's something I've thought about as well, but I'm working on it.
I suppose especially if you come to Australia and Sweden, you have some original art to sell.
Yeah, I'll have some people that ask for commissions. I can do those by hand easily.
Awesome.
Original art sales.
Yeah, if fans are interested in commissions, how can they contact you?
You can contact me at anthonyspay.art@gmail.com, or if you just go to my Instagram, my email is listed on there, and my Instagram is @AnthonySpay. It's not a super common last name, so there aren't many of us. It's really just me and like my dad. So, you'll probably find me pretty easily. But that's probably the easiest way to get in touch with me.
Awesome. So I've gotten a commission from you. I got a sketch cover. It's of the Phantom on the throne. Was the one that I got. It's very similar as one of your other panels in one of the Fantomen stories. So
yeah, I think I did. I forget which one I did first. I think I might have done yours first, and it did it again in the book. So
awesome. I'll claim it. So if you're interested in commissions, I believe you do have your covers on sale, or have they already sold it?
One of them has. The first one has 1886 for 1886. That one has. But they're up, and if you're interested in one of those, just email me as well. You can go on that. I post them on that site, Comic Art Fans, which is a comicartfans.com, which is a really good original art site that like collectors and people selling them, and it's pretty expansive as far as the amount of original artwork on there. But I have my own page on there, so if you type my name in, they'll pop up pretty quickly and everything. So, but especially if you're from Australia and interested in buying them, email me, because I don't have the shipping set up automatically online or anything like that. So I have to do it personally.
Awesome. Do you have any other questions or anything you want to mention, Anthony, that we haven't mentioned or talked about in the last hour and a half?
No, I think we've talked about a lot of the Phantom stuff, and I've plugged all of my pages, and I just want to say thank you to all the fans out there for liking my work, and for both of you guys for being so supportive of me. Jermayn, you've been supportive of me since I started this, and you too, Michael. I really enjoyed it. So thank you for your support, and I'm really glad you like what I'm doing, because I'm like doing it.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to your next story. Obviously, if you want to get in touch with Anthony, have a look at some of his art and stuff like that. we will have links. Just a quick shout out to our Patreons before we sign off. The next Patreon prize is actually going to be a signed Fantomen comic by Anthony, and also a card as well, which is signed by Anthony as well. So that will be our next Patreon prize. So we thought we held this one back for this podcast, so it'll be a nice little themed Patreon prize. Mikael, thank you for your time. Have you got any other questions that you need to make mention?
Thank you for having me, and thank you for all the great art and all the future stories we will see.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. It's great talking to you.
Yes, no worries.
Same.
Awesome. So thank you, listeners, for listening to us. We appreciate you listening to us. Again, if you want to see Anthony's work, you can see it on his Instagram page. We'll have if you're on YouTube, or we'll have it in the comment section, but we'll also have the handle pop up about where my fingers are kind of motioning at the moment. If you are interested in following us, we're on our website, which is chroniclechamber.com. Our email is chroniclechamber@gmail.com. If you have any questions or anything like that specifically for Anthony or all about this podcast, please give us some comments or get in touch with Anthony as well if you are interested in a commission, or if you like some of those covers that he did as well. He's made mention that the first one has been sold, but the other two are still available. So make sure you do that as well. If you have never subscribed to us or listened to our podcast before, you can subscribe on iTunes or Spotify, and also apps like Podbean, Player FM, Castbox, and Listen Notes. Or again, if you like to hear Anthony talking about certain panels as we're showing them up on the screen and stuff like that, YouTube is the best way of doing that. So thank you, listeners. Thank you, everyone, for listening to you. Mikael, Anthony, thank you again for joining us. From myself, happy Fantoming.
500 years ago,
Fantomen.
he washed ashore the sole
Happy
survivor of a shipwreck, and upon the skull of the man who killed his dad, he said, "I'm mad, I must eradicate piracy, injustice and cruelty, and all my sons will follow me, so evildoers will believe that this man cannot die." The Phantom, the ghost who walks. The Phantom, enemies beware. The Phantom's always there, but you won't mind the Phantom.